Nothing.
Maybe.
Please. Try again. I know. But I think I'm going to try again.
We'll just give it another minute. I think I heard one of the commissioners trying to call in.
I'm here, Mayor, but I haven't turned my camera on this time. This is Todd.
All right. I was gonna say good to see you, but I can't see you.
That's right. I'm identified as TB up on the screen, I guess.
All right. Your name shows up on my screen. I think that Seltzer might have been trying to call in. We'll just give him a minute. And I'm not sure if Alder Majewski is in town tonight. Caller 2, would that be Mr. Seltzer?
Yes, that is I.
All right, how you doing tonight?
Good.
All right, I think we're about ready to start. It looks like we have a quorum.
Okay.
All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. It's Monday, October 12th of 2020. This is the Plan Commission meeting. We do have a quorum. The first item on the agenda tonight is to consider approval of the Plan Commission minutes from September 14th. I'd entertain a motion to do so.
So moved. This is
All right, I thought I heard a motion.
Yeah,
Seltzer.
Tom,
All right, was there a second?
I'll second it. Tom Robinson.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes?
I just have one comment, Mayor. In that, in the minutes, I missed it at the time, it's correctly recorded, but I misspoke that I thought that self-lit or internally lit signs were non-conforming. Michael and I went through the ordinance, and that it actually doesn't list those specifically. It's more plastic signs. Just to let the commissioners know.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. Any other comments on the minutes?
both here.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that carries. Council representative report, Alderperson Carvello, is there anything to report?
Just from the September 22nd council meeting, ordinance 18 of 2020 passed council, and resolutions 145 through 150, all from planning, were passed by city council.
All right, thank you. Staff report, anything to highlight?
Nothing of particular note, but we have been getting some inquiries from people that are looking at possibly buying the former NAFA building along Williams Drive at the corner of Glacier Moraine and Williams Drive. A couple different potential buyers of that facility. So we're anxious to see that get backfilled and hopefully develop some additional increment there.
All right, any questions from commissioners on the status of developments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is a request by Mike Malling to amend zoning ordinance section 78-722, parent 7, swimming pool standards. Anything before we go into public hearing?
I don't think there's anything necessary before we go to the public hearing. The request has been submitted to consider a different alternative for protective fencing around raised pools. And that's what's before us tonight.
All right, any questions from commissioners before we close the meeting and go into public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the regular meeting, open for public hearing. I don't believe I had anybody sign up to speak to this, but if anybody would like to, now would be your time. Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and reopen for our regular business. So we do have a request for this ordinance, and there's a resolution in the packet. Anybody have any questions about it, or?
Mayor, this is Todd. I have kind of a question and a concern as relates to the gating or the protected access system. I see here from the photos that with this style of pool with the railings provided on above the edge or the surround of the pool, that essentially the cap stairs or the step guarded stairs is really what is serving as the gate to prevent access. And I'm not sure the wording in the proposed wording change for the ordinance is clear on that, as well as whether or not this satisfies our primary concern for preventing access through gated access. Because it looks to be shorter than the 5-foot height. And I don't know if there's a lock on that step guard even works. So I think there needs to be clarity primarily in the access point as far as this ordinance change would go.
Okay, do you have anything for clarification, Rodney or Michael?
Yeah, I think that's a valid point because the existing ordinance requires a self-closing, self-latching gate. And as depicted, at least in this illustration, I don't know if you could accomplish that with that particular setup. Now, Mike Mullings on the line. I don't know if this is a particular one he has an interest in, or if he can speak to what the latch arrangement is anticipated to be in order to address that self-closing, self-latching feature.
Yeah, it had a like a gate over the steps to get up into the platform, and be locked. But I could put a self-closing gate at the top of the steps there on the platform to satisfy that requirement if that can't be changed, or if it's not satisfactory the way it is.
Is that what you're looking for, Commissioner Barman, or are you looking for something to be changed in the language in the ordinance, in the resolution as well?
I think it might needs to be tweaked just because we can't really design an ordinance change to satisfy only one product on the market. You have to word it in such a way that someone else who comes with a different product from a different vendor that has an above ground pool, a railing above the pool sides, that we've got the kind of controlled access that we need. Because, in this particular case, at least in the drawing on this product, someone could climb over the stair guard or the step guard because doesn't go up the full 5-foot height. And plus, I don't know if there's a lock on it. So I think we need to work out the wording on the access point. I think having the self-latching gate at the top certainly helps. As a resident, I'm not sure how I would open the gate then. I suppose maybe once you drop the stair guard, then you climb the stairs and then you'd have the gate at the top.
Yes, right.
but I think we'd still probably, I think that may be good, but I haven't redone the wording myself. I just think Mike still just need a little tweak on the wording, because we can't just endorse one product.
Okay, and Mike, is this something that you're trying to get installed this year yet, or are you looking for the spring, or?
Yeah, it'll be, I'll install it in the spring. Right now, my water level is 4 feet or, well, below 4 feet. And, so, you know, I have the product and so on, but I'll install it in the spring because I was late getting the pool in.
Okay, so would you be okay if we took some time to work on some language and bring it back next month?
Yeah, sure. That's fine with me.
Or commissioners, we could either do that or we could try to write the language on the fly here. What is your preference?
I'm reading through the language. I'm reading through the language now, but if someone more creative and quick has a suggestion, it's primarily that second sentence that we want to zero in on.
I'd prefer to take the extra time on this one because it is a safety issue.
Okay, so then I guess I would entertain a motion to postpone it till the next plan commission meeting, and then we'd take action on it then.
As long as there is no hurry by the customer, then I will make a motion to postpone this until the next month's meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Any other concerns, or is that it?
Would you want me to work with Michael on this, on the verbiage? On how to change it or improve it?
Yeah, that would be fine if that's
Okay.
good with Michael.
Yeah, and Mayor, I can take a stab too, to see if I can come up with something.
All right, we got our 3 best people working on it.
Well, that'd be great.
I will tell you that I have no problem with the height of the added fence on the sidewalls and the pool. I think that seems to satisfy everything in my mind. It's just the gate I'm zeroing in on.
All right, I understand. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I agree with that also. It's not that I disagree with how the proposal is or the product. I think it looks good. I thought that the photographs were very helpful in visualizing that, but we just want to get it right for everybody to use.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, thank you. So anything else? There is a motion on the table. Hearing no further comments, all in favor of the postponement, say aye.
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 And any opposed? That motion does carry, so that'll be on for next month then. Thanks for attending, Mike, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll sign
problem.
off. Bye.
Okay, next item is item number 6. A request by William Montalbano. Hopefully I didn't
Yes.
butcher that too bad.
No, that's perfect.
For renovation approval at Fosdale's Bakery at 243 East Main Street. Anything you want to start out with, Director Shield?
No, this request is kind of evolved from a project into more of a renovation, but it certainly does add some features to the front that improves accessibility. They're proposing a ramp and entrance point into the front of the facility. So I think you will notice a substantial improvement for ADA compliance in the front.
All right. There it is.
This is just one snapshot of it, but I'll let the applicants kind of walk through what they're proposing, and I can pull up other screens as necessary.
So who would like to speak, Joseph or Bill?
Joe, you have anything?
Ed. Who did I speak to?
Joe?
Hello.
Yep. Do you have anything that you want to?
No, I think it just kind of speaks for itself, other than the fact that, like they said, it's great, better access point to the bakery.
All right, and Bill, what's your role?
I'm the architect.
You want to show off your work, or is it?
No, well, this is what you're looking at on the screen now is the alley elevation on the left and the street elevation on the right. We're basically just taking care of a few structural problems with that existing addition that fronts the alley, and then recladding the exterior. The siding is in pretty poor condition, and so basically it's just a kind of a facelift on the back of the building.
All right. And any questions from the commissioners before we consider going into the public hearing?
I should just point out that in the front, we'll certainly need a survey to identify the property limits. I think you'll be able to accomplish the ramp and railing within the private property limits, but if not, we'd have to work through an encroachment or a license agreement to allow that encroachment into the public right of way if necessary.
All right.
I had one question on the back side of that. Is that cantilevered section, is that going to be, well, not really cantilevered, I guess, but the overhang section going to be maintained like that?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
this represents pretty much the way it is now.
okay.
Mayor,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have one question. I know this was originally brought to the city as a removal and rebuild, and then switched to just the facelift. And I was wondering if that is because there was concern over the potential of us as commissioners not allowing the removal, or if this is really the preference of the property owner to just do the facelift rather than to do the fix up. Because I know there's some concern that we might be strict with something that might come across as a demolition, but this was a late addition that was not original to the building. So I don't know if that would necessarily be a concern, if really what your ultimate goal is to build something that might be more solid or have a little different layout or whatever it might be.
If you don't mind, I'll jump in. I'm Bernie Lang with National Construction. We were brought in by Joe and Heather to take a look at what it would cost to build that addition on the back, and Bill had put together a drawing, and we priced that out to kind of maximize the building footprint on the site. The cost of that just became, I think, too much for the business to bear. By refacing it and doing some renovation inside, Joe's business, it's more efficient that way. It certainly can exist in the existing footprint the way it is, with some minor changes inside. So that's the direction he decided to go. The one thing I'd say about that alley elevation, Bill, is right now there's a area up there where they store their what do they call the racks that have the trays in the tray, the racks for the trays. So that's there now. That would still be there. Bill, you don't show that, or do you show that on a different drawing?
Well, it would show on the plan view.
Yeah, okay. So I see the siding and it looks contiguous, but there is this second level that actually mimics what's there now. It's been there a long time, and it's it needs to be rebuilt to its current standard. So it's not going to change much there. You can see it on the right plan where it shows first floor plan, but that's actually that little hallway is up. That's I think represents what's currently there, but it's on the first floor, which is the main entrance off of Main Street. There's actually a lower level that comes in off the alley for deliveries. So that's his first floor plan, but that's essentially above the basement entrance. Do you agree, Joe?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any other questions from commissioners before we close for public hearing and reopen?
I have one comment, and that is looking at the ramp on the front. I see that as having potential great attraction to I'm going to say youngsters perhaps, or people on skateboards or bicycles that are going to look at that and think that that is a very handy jump that has been installed on the front of that building.
You've been eyeing that up?
No, I just looking at it just now, I thought, oh, okay, if, you know, the step side and the other side, I was like, I don't know if that will, I mean, that's, I don't know how to, what you could potentially do to design something into that to make that not attractive to somebody that was like going to try to use that as a jump for their bike or their skateboard or something. Just a thought.
Right, there might be, I mean, you might think of a gate at the top of the stair so that you can't, you know, skate up the ramp and jump off, but it's just, you know, how it goes, you know, when after dark, it's kids find a way to kind of get around that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
One of the advantages we have, though, is that usually somebody's there 24 hours a day.
It's good.
I think that from a design perspective, the primary way that you'd prevent it from being just a takeoff ramp is that the stairs would, rather than come off at the same direction, well, the direction that you have them now going off the west side, they would turn and come straight off the front of the building. But I think you'd have a clearance issue with the front sidewalk and the pedestrians walking past if you were to do that. If you put a 90-degree turn, is what I'm saying, is that you wouldn't have the jump. But I don't think physically in this location we can do that. And I think a gate would interfere with the ADA access, because you'd have people turning that gate into the ramp. So it's
Right.
Yeah, we might have to have cameras and signage and all that kind of stuff.
Or unless potentially maybe there was a gate and it was during normal operating hours, the gate was opened, and after closing hours, gate was just swung closed and locked.
Why, Phil, I noticed that ramp is
The survey will
only 3
inform.
feet wide. So any gate that's put up there is going to interfere with that 3-foot width, and 3 foot is the minimal amount for a ramp. And pushing it out toward the street more is going to create a barrier to people walking down the street. So I don't know. I don't think it needs the answers to that.
Potentially, if it was something, now looking at it from this drawing that was just put up, if there was something that swung to the west, or if it was a 2-piece, so it swung to the west, so it did not impede in the 3-foot access for on the actual ramp portion, if it just swung toward the stair portion.
Well, let me just ask commissioners, are you guys okay with approving it as it is, or are you expecting them to change the design of this? I mean, ultimately they're gonna have to deal with it.
I'm personally okay with the design as it is.
Well,
And
I think the survey will inform this a little bit too, kind of letting us know if there's any room. But I don't know what that line means right there, Bill, that kind of dashed line. Is that what you think the property line is?
That's right. That's my best indication of where that property line is. It's right now, it's the change in texture of the sidewalk and texture and material of the sidewalk. is where that line is now.
I don't know if that's gonna be necessarily accurate to the survey. I know when they did the sidewalk install out there, I don't know if they paid particular attention to that as the actual property line where they seamed that concrete, but certainly the survey will help solidify if that's the case or not.
Yeah, I can see some issues with putting a gate at the top of the steps because you run into building code issues there because we don't have a level landing in front of the, we'd have to extend that stair out to the west further, those 2 steps, or to the left as shown on the drawing, because if any kind of a door or a gate or something, you need at least a 3-foot long level landing at the top, so. And then, like you said, when that gate is open, when the gate is open, if it's a 2-piece gate or a 1-piece gate, it really shouldn't get in the way of the handrail system either, as far as a person being able to grasp the handrail as they walk up and down the stairs. So there'd be some technical things we have to work out. And like Joe said, there's somebody there pretty much all night, so that would help quite a bit. Usually you can hear that. You can hear those skateboards running down the sidewalk.
I know I've heard it outside my window.
Yeah.
So I guess for the commissioners, are you okay with approving this if they think it's gonna be a problem, they can always bring something back.
Do we still need to go into a public hearing, Mayor?
Yeah, we do.
So do you want us to chime in on any other issues we have as far as approval goes before or after the public hearing?
Either way is fine. We can close the regular meeting and we'll go into the public hearing. Was there anyone that wished to speak? I know we just had one person sign up and he already spoke. Did you have anything in addition to that, Bernie? You said you'd be here to answer any questions.
Yeah, I think Bill and I are both here to answer questions. I think, Michael, were you going to do the presentation to the Plan Commission? Michael?
I think the materials have already been presented.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a presentation that needed to be done in the public setting or not.
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Right. Bill and I are here, and the owners are here, and Heather to answer any operational questions or anything else that might be asked. So.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Anybody else wish to speak at the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and reopen for our business. We do have a resolution in there. I would entertain a motion if somebody's prepared to make it.
I'll make a motion to approve the plans as they have been drawn.
I will second.
All right, there's a second. Any more discussion?
Just one last question, and that is, well, one, for some reason in the back of my head from the work that I did on our building, I thought 88 ramps had to be wider than 36 inches. So I guess I would just double check that. But my biggest question, assuming everything's kosher with ADA, is how much public sidewalk space are we going to have from the edge of or outside railing of this ramp and the curb? Do we have at least a guesstimate on what's left for the pedest or the sidewalk traffic?
I will give you an estimate, but I believe that from the building edge to the curb is probably in the 12-foot range, somewhere in that vicinity. Now there is a colored border along, closer to the curb as well, but I believe there's about 12 feet from the building front to the curb, back of curb. I should just make a clarification in the motion. It's understood that if this plan, after the survey is done, shows that it would actually encroach into the public right of way, we would have to go through a process to get that considered separately.
Okay.
And the,
Understood.
the ADA requirement for the ramp width is 36 inches clear between the handrails. So
Okay.
the total width of the ramp would have to be at least 3'6".
Okay. And then, based on what Rodney said, it looks like there'd be plenty of clearance for people walking, biking, or rolling their wheelchair around the ramp who weren't coming up too fast. So. All right, that was my question.
All right, sounds good.
I guess I actually have one other, now that I'm thinking about this, and that Commissioner Barman brought up the clearances of the sidewalk, because I do know that there is a tree in front of this building that's just to essentially like the left or the west of that's closer to the curb or closer to the street. But I'm just kind of thinking about a snow pile up on sidewalk consideration, you know, thinking about like worst case scenario of if we've got, you know, I don't know, large piles of snow that take up, I don't know how many feet from the street or from the curb, piled up for, you know, a day or 36 hours or so before it's removed. Kind of creating a pinch point on the sidewalk, but I guess if that's the way it is, that's just the way it is, since it would be a temporary thing.
I think that's something that the owners will have to take into consideration, and we can certainly talk to our public works guys if there's things that we're responsible for that we need to make sure gets done. Is this going to be, you're doing building work as well? Is this going to be like in phases? Are you going to do all this at once, or where are you going to start?
We don't plan on starting the project until sometime in the kind of late first quarter, early second quarter. I think like in April. Is that right, Joe?
Correct. Yeah, that'll work.
So it'd be after winter conditions. Joe's buying a new freezer. You know, that's kind of the main emphasis of this. And then there's finished work inside. But we'd have to take it. I don't think we've had that discussion about the phasing really yet. We got to make sure Joe and Heather stay in business. So it's, you know, that'll be part of. But as far as like the exterior work, the ramp can kind of go as its own piece. The siding that we proposed for the back and the side, I mean, that can be done, you know, even before we get inside. So, you know, it's depends kind of on the winter we have and what kind of spring we have, but I think it would all kind of go together. I mean, within reason to Joe's needs, though.
Okay.
And I know it seemed a little bit.
I'm just gonna, I'm gonna make one more comment, if nobody minds, that since I am actually next door to this building, and anything, I am well in favor of anything that will structurally and cosmetically improve the back of that building. I'm all for it.
Thank you. That's a great comment.
All right. I believe we have a motion on the table. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And is there any opposed? None opposed. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Okay, item number 7 is a request by Mary Allen for renovation approval at 109 to 113 East Main Street. And Director Shield, can you give us kind of an overview of this one? It looks like Mary's on here if we have any questions for her. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
It's principally a fencing project that is proposed to be installed at the rear of this facility. Mayor, I don't have that pulled up on the screen. Do you have it at your fingertips to do so?
Sure. Yep.
Thank you.
There, it's not install. It was replacing chain link that was on the fence already with a galvanized metal. There was no change in the positioning of the fence or anything like that. It was old chain link that had plastic strips through it, as you can see in the picture. It wasn't serving a purpose, and it wasn't keeping the animals out, that's for sure. And so we replaced it with the galvanized and with wooden gate. We were also getting a lot of broken bottles, I believe, from the bar around the corner, and this seems to be keeping them out much better. And our intention in the spring is to plant some type of vine or bush in front of it, between it and the parking pad.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, this is Todd. My question, I haven't gone back, and that's my fault. I didn't get a chance to go back into the alley and look at this face to face, but it appears from the pictures that this is a shiny galvanized metal color. It's kind of like a gunmetal gray, or it's almost like bare metal shine to it. Is that correct?
It's actually not that shiny. It looks kind of shiny in the pictures, but when you're looking at it, it's not that shiny. It's metal that would be used for roofing also. And as it ages, of course, it will dull even more.
Is that surface paintable? Because from an ordinance perspective, the biggest issue, the fencing is, in a lot of ways, an improvement over that chain link before pictures you showed us. But from an aesthetic perspective, what stands out to me is the fact that your nice wood door does not really coordinate so well with the metal cover that you put on the fence, and metal cover itself and the door itself. The colors don't relate at all to the building. And from an ordinance perspective, one of the things that as commissioners are asked to kind of be oversight for is coordination of materials and colors. And so I don't know if that metal material is something that can be painted.
If you paint it, you run into having to upkeep the paint peeling off. It's very difficult to keep up painting. And then also, because of the restrictions in the paint colors, you already have, I believe, 3 colors on that building: the brick itself, the red, and the gray, which we inherited, by the way, on that landing and stairwell. And so you would have to pick from one of those colors. Red is not going to look good on there. Gray, again, it's going to peel off. So it's very, very difficult. And the fence that was there had white stripping and metal.
Yeah, I understand, but we're approving new work, not work that was grandfathered in. The ordinance is in place now. And if you could switch, Rodney, to the other, this is looking toward the street, I believe, from the back of the building. Could you go? Yes, that or the closer up picture. It's just, we don't require, we don't have a limit to the number of colors. We don't just say you can only have 3 colors. We just say that there should be an attempt made to have the colors coordinate with the other colors on the building. And the new materials that you have applied, I'm not saying that they're bad materials, but the colors really don't coordinate with the other colors on the building, whether we like the red stairs or not. They don't coordinate with any of the other colors that are going on. And I understand that painting that metal does provide another maintenance issue now. But the metal was chosen and put up before we had a chance to look at it. So I at least have to ask these questions. I don't know, sometimes you can do like an acid wash on metal so that it speeds up the aging process that you talk about. So it makes it more, rather than painting it. And again, I'm no expert on these materials, but that's my primary issue, is the fact that the colors of the gate and the fencing material itself don't coordinate, and they certainly don't really coordinate with the building.
We picked, I know it doesn't show it in that picture very well, but we picked the color of the gate to be natural to correlate with the brick in the wall. And as far as acid washing, I'd be happy to acid wash it if that'll work on the metal and make it duller, more to your liking. I really hesitate to paint anything that's metal because I don't want it to get to the situation where the other fence was, looking horrible. And that's why we were thinking of possibly putting plants in front of it to make it not quite such a big fence, but it's still time serve a purpose of keeping the animals and the beer bottles and everything out of there, and yet making it look nice, both from the inside and the outside. The other fence was just horrendous. And we did do this intent of we were just replacing the chain link, not with the intent of building a new fence.
Any questions or comments from any other commissioners?
I think for myself, I think looking at the materials, I mean, the metal fencing has a little bit more of an industrial look to it, but it is, as far as I'm concerned, an improvement over what was previously there, the chain link with the white plastic slats through it. But coordination wise, I would think that actually painting or staining the gate the same color as the stairway and the back of the building would actually kind of, to my eye from these pictures, would actually coordinate it considerably more than it would tie things together a lot better than what's happening there now if we're, and I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, the metal will age, and I actually personally kind of like the sort of industrial, even though it doesn't really match anything back there, but it's also not what I would call a high traffic area. But I don't know if there's any thoughts about painting or staining the gate to match the stairway structure on the back of the building.
Although that red is not my favorite at all, especially having painted that twice in the last 5 years myself. I would have no problem painting the gate if it was what saved the fence. And it is an industrial area. I'm sorry, but it is an alleyway and it serves a purpose as such. We have trash cans back there. They don't match either.
With the paint on the gate, I don't have any issue then with that. I think that would actually tie together fairly nicely. I use that corrugated steel product. I've got it outside as siding for a planter. So it does, as Mary's saying, it does dull out over time for sure. It looks real shiny to begin with, but it does kind of fade off pretty quickly. But yeah, I think I like Phil's suggestion of painting it to match that stairwell in the back, and I think that would actually look kind of neat.
All right, that's two that believes that we should paint the gate. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to say something if you got a moment there.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I really hesitate to think we need to tell an owner of a property here with all the investment and concern they have for their property which colors we like and which ways we want them to be painted and whether they suit what we think would blend well. I think we can have enough confidence to say, redo the thing, make it look better, and use the colors that you feel would work well for you. After all, this is not the front of their building out on 51. This is the back alley. And if they will improve this area and repaint it in a color they feel that's good for their considerable investment in a project like this and their property, I don't think we need to begin questioning what colors people use, just that it's a good quality paint and that it be what's appropriate for the rear alley of a property like this.
Thank you, Tom.
Well,
I guess what I'd say is I think the owners putting this money and time and effort into this should be respected as to the colors they want and why they want them, and not get into these details of what we think might be the case when we're simply council members.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with that just because it's our job as commission members to enforce the ordinance. And the ordinance is actually in our packet. And if you look at 7.1 exterior colors, one of the things that we as commissioners have to make a judgment on and provide recommendations on is colors. It says exterior colors, colors shall relate in a positive way to the existing materials found on the facade. And that's not just the front facade, it's facades that are visible to the public. And this is, I mean, the public has access to this alleyway, and so it's a visible facade. And it's also underneath that, under item 1, underneath 7.1, says high gloss paints, lacquers, varnishes, or other shining non-glazing surfaces shall not be used. So this is wording in the ordinance that's been approved. It's on the books. And it's our role as commissioners to, as part of our role for the public, is to have these conversations and make. Now, I won't say that we have to say it has to be this color, but I think we can suggest that it be a color that's more compatible. And the suggestion was made that the red of the stairwell is certainly more compatible, and the owner is willing to go that direction. I think we're within our role as commissioners to have that discussion.
I guess I would respond to that by just saying, at that point, we're not talking about the front of the store or 51 North going right by and all kinds of other considerations. I think any color that the owners should select as being appropriate to their property on the back alley of their building should be accepted.
Can I ask a question? We have
Sure.
that big stairwell, and I know in the next 5 years it will probably need painting again. I hate the red, and in fact, I'm also wondering if I'm in violation for replacing pieces of wood on the stairwell that had rotted and painting those again. Should I have come to the commission to ask for approval for the colors of paint that I used? I just covered them with similar or same paint, close as I could find to what was already on there from 5 years ago when I bought the place. But my concern now is I, as an owner, am very concerned about touching my building.
Yeah.
Without getting approval first.
Yeah, Rodney can certainly speak to this as well, or Michael, but that would, the way you described it, that's considered maintenance. You're repairing
Well,
something that.
this was considered maintenance to me because I was replacing an old metal fence with a new metal fence, not
Yeah.
even moving the posts.
Yeah, but that's replacement, that's not repair. So if
It
you
was
would,
repair. The fence was a mess. I couldn't repair that particular fence, so I had to repair the fence by replacing pieces of it. It was not replacing the whole thing. It was repairing pieces of it that were not working any longer. And in essence, even though you may not like the look of the metal, it looks a heck of a lot better than it did. I am trying in Stoughton to make that place look better. We have done nothing but try and take care of that building and the surrounding area.
yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I agree with you that this is an improvement. And I appreciate the investment, and I agree with all those things. But we, as commissioners, have a task to, within this downtown overlay district, to follow the guidelines that have been agreed to and laid out and adopted, so that if your neighbors and other people in the downtown district are making similar changes to their properties, that someone doesn't come in and do something that violates the ordinance in a way that you don't like, or that someone else doesn't like. If someone comes downtown and says, well, I'm going to paint my building blaze orange or hot pink, and then everyone says, well, that's not an improvement. Well, we have to have some way of having these conversations that are clear, codified, defensible, and so that's all we're trying to do.
And I appreciate that, Tom. I do appreciate it. I do understand the intent behind these, but I just want to make sure that we don't get too far into the intent that we're harming the owners of these buildings, that we're causing great stress to them every time they want to do an improvement. That's all I'm asking, is that you weigh the two.
And I think that's fair. I think it's fair. I'm just gonna make one comment and then I'm gonna ask for a motion. And really the comment is, going forward, the best way to handle this is to come in and talk to the city ahead of time. On this particular one, I think we found out after the fact, and that's why we're here. Typically, we like to approve it before the fence is completed. And I think going forward, I think life will be easier for everybody if we can agree to do that.
I was told, because we were just replacing the chain link itself, that we did not need to go to the city, that no permit was needed, nothing else was needed, that we were just replacing, that we weren't changing where the fence was, nothing. So that's why I did not go to the city first.
I guess I'd ask, who told you that?
I don't recall if it was a contractor that we had to come bid on it. I'm pretty sure it was a contractor we had come bid on.
I would say you're better off just coming right to the city, come to the horse's mouth so we can give you good advice. And like I said, then we can save everybody kind of the aggravation, because it's not that we don't want to help you out. It's just easier if we have the conversation ahead of time. And I know it can be difficult in the downtown overlay district because maybe not everybody's aware of all the guidelines that are in there, because it is a long document. But if there's any doubt, please contact us on the front end and encourage your neighbors to do the same thing. That would be beneficial for everybody.
Mayor, can I try making a suggestion here in the
Sure.
interest of moving this forward?
Yes,
Because I'm not necessarily in love with the red on your back stairs myself. I
Thank you.
certainly think, I think overall as a composition, it would, as Phil had said, it would tie together if the gate was the same color as that. But if your ultimate goal down the road is to not have that painted red, I guess what I would be primarily interested in is on your part, an understanding that we would love to have you come have conversation with this commissioner, with the city, or at least from your own perspective, as you move forward with either changing the color on that back stairs, is make an attempt to coordinate the color of the door and the color of the stairs. If, as long as that metal is intended to age, and you have some interest in putting some screening vegetation on it, I'm comfortable with that. I do like the idea of coordinating that door with the other wood materials that are on the back of the building. But if there's plans to change it, that color of red in the future, I guess, depending on what my other commissioners agreed to, I wouldn't necessarily force you to paint it red if you don't like that color. But I'd like the two to eventually to be coordinated.
I'm hoping not to have to paint that for quite a while since I just painted it this summer. So I'm being truthful with you there, but if I did paint it again, I would love to paint it a different color than barn red.
Okay.
all right. Was anybody prepared to make a motion then?
I would make a motion that we allow the colors that have been suggested in the development as brought forward. I think it's within every realm of good, solid improvement of that poorly maintained alley in the past.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, a motion and a second. Any last words of wisdom or comments from the commissioners? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'll oppose.
Okay, one opposed. That motion does carry. So keep in touch when you're doing future projects.
Okay, so it's my understanding we don't need to paint the gate until we repaint that whole stairwell and to get the approval of the colors before we do that.
That would be wonderful. We appreciate that.
Okay, thank you much.
All right, thank you. All right, that takes us to, I think, future agenda items, right? It does. Are there any future agenda items, Rodney?
Not of particular note at this point, but certainly there's projects that we anticipate coming forward. I should just highlight for the commissioners that aren't aware, the Kettle Park West properties did close last week. So the documents that the city had approved have all been signed and executed. And so that plat is now to be recorded. And we should see the first phase of, or the next phase of the Kettle Park West development starting potentially dirt work yet this fall.
It's my understanding that Mershon's closed on the movie theater building as well. All right, that's all we had for tonight. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Sure.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. We are adjourned.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.